Autumn, I'm still not over that 30 degrees, but alas, it is time for our Midday Minutes. I'm sitting here with LeRoi Johnson. He is a 2019 Buffalo Music Hall of Fame inductee. First off, congratulations.
Thank you.
This is a big deal. It's been a long career for you in music.
Oh, yes, it has been. It's, well, we'll go back to, particularly with Rick, goes back to 1981. Goes back a little further than that, though, into kind of the mid-60s.
So Rick, your brother, Rick.
Yes.
A lot of people have heard that name before, Rick James, but you worked alongside him and a lot of other big acts along the way.
Well, most of the acts came out of our company, which were the Mary Jane Girls, Process and the Do-Rags. Of course, we worked with Eddie Murphy, The Temptations, Tina Marie, a lot of the big acts of the 80s.
We'll go back to a little bit here. Right now we're looking at some video from a documentary filmmaker Addison Henderson produced about you over in the Perry Projects. This is where you grew up, here in Buffalo.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that, about your family. Obviously there has to be some sort of influence from your parents with all these artists in the family.
Well, my mother was in the entertainment business, so we were around a lot of entertainment. We heard a lot of good music and met a lot of people who really, I didn't know who they were, but they turned out to be pretty famous, Art Blakely and those kinds of people. So we learned early on that hard work and success will get you somewhere. We didn't know where, because nobody knows what you're going to be doing and how successful you're going to be, but if you work hard at it.
But then you had sort of a different path. You grew up, went to the Buffalo Public Schools here, Canisius, and then you went to my hometown. You went to DC, Georgetown, right, but for law school.
Yes, yes. That was an interesting experience. I went to mostly Catholic schools. I only went to two years public school, but we have to get that straight.
Okay, we'll get that straight. So just a few public school years, mostly Catholic schools here.
DC was interesting because there was a lot that was going on in those days. DC was just finding itself with the metro. It was really more of a country town than it is now. It's an international city, but I think it was more of just a city then.
But you were there in law school, so you got there, but had you always been a musician?
No.
No.
No. I mean, I fooled around. I was in the cadets. You know, I played the bass drum, which all you have to do is hit boom, 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 that kind of thing.
Right.
And also I was in the African Culture Center. I played congas and bongos, that kind of thing. So I had a little experience in music.
Well, I was listening to some of the documentary that Addison made, and you said something interesting about DC. I want to see, Julie, can we cue up that video here?
At the same time while Rick was doing things, I was doing things in music in Washington with some of Gil Scott's people and some of Chuck Brown's people, and these are big guys around Washington. So, and they had a nice little music scene, and I would go in and I'd play classical on top of R&B, which was pretty cool, you know.
I just need you to know that I fell on the floor when you had to say that Chuck Brown was a big deal. Me being from DC, this is
Chuck Brown and Go-Go?
The godfather of Go-Go, and you had to say, oh yeah, he's a big deal in DC, and I'm going around the newsroom like, everybody knows who he is. People outside of DC had no idea.
No, they don't. But Go-Go is only big in a number of places. DC, parts of the East Coast, and London.
It's really the sound of DC.
Oh, yeah.
Like just growing up there, Go-Go is what we call our music. And I just, in your opinion, I feel like I've talked to so many fascinating musicians from Buffalo, but Buffalo, I feel like doesn't have a sound. It doesn't have that umbrella of, we can say that, you know, this kind of music is coming out of Buffalo the way we say Go-Go comes out of DC.
Well, I think Buffalo's music has been accepted with Dyke and the Blazers and Rick and Joe Public and the groups. I mean, it's kind of mainstream funk. But we do have our music. I mean, nobody has go-go in the whole country. Nobody has that. And nobody's ever been to a go-go dance concert. I mean, it's something that's really different.
Right, absolutely.
And, you know, I love that. I love that go-go music.
Before I let you go, I want to talk about one other part. You are an artist as a whole because you're also a very well-known painter. Internationally, you have won awards for some of your painting work. So how does that tie into, where did that come from?
It just comes from my inner soul. I mean, it certainly doesn't come from music, but what did help was being able to go a lot of places throughout the world and
So now you're being inducted into the Music Hall of Fame tonight, but you're also a practicing attorney, a painter. Where do you think your legacy is going to lie?
Who knows? I don't know. I'm just happy that the musical community is acknowledging me, the work that I did with Rick and with the other groups. I mean, we have a lasting legacy here.
Right.
Not only here, but in America and throughout the world. I've been in many countries and have heard the music. And sometimes I ask somebody, hey, did you play that because you know I was coming in? Oh, no. It's just being played.
It's just being played.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, congratulations. We're so excited to see you tonight. We are going to be at that induction ceremony. It is 7:30 at the Cardinal O'Hara Performing Arts Center. You can look for a recap for us tonight on your news at 11. So to come here on your